Sri Lanka have now lost their last 6 away ODI games since June 2019. Having had a decent start to the first ODI against Bangladesh on Sunday, it was again the same old demon in the name of a middle overs crisis that led to defeat. The Islanders will now have to take the task of managing the middle phase of each innings much more seriously. In bowling, they might be forced to look at wicket-taking options in the squad. They might have a look at bringing in the Willie-off spinner Akila Dhananjaya in search of wickets in the overs of 15 to 40. But it is also likely that they will give another go to Lakshan Sandakhan, who played the second fiddle to Wanindu Hasaranga in the first game, as it would be harsh on the player to face the axe after just one game. It was still a decent show by the bowlers to keep the hosts down to 257 runs in the first ODI. Sri Lanka doesn't have the luxury of extending opportunities as they lie in the negative scale of the ICC Men's Cricket World Cup Super League table, and points in these one-dayers are vital to their 2023 World Cup qualification. In the batting department, the middle order was more or less a vacuum in the first game, and it is almost certain that there will be some tough calls to make for the selectors in this front. Ashen Bandara, who played number 6 for Sri Lanka in the last game, looked out for his depth and under immense pressure. The youngster has had a good start to his ODI career with 2 half-centuries in his 4 outings and an average of 42. So again, it will be a test of policy for the selectors. On the other hand, Pathum Nissanka, who looked good on the eyes, having slapped Taskin Ahmed over mid-wicket for 4 and looked to be aggressive right from the start, has not proved enough with his numbers. Now, having played 4 ODIs, Nissanka only has 50 runs in his account at an average of 12.5. It is certain that Sri Lanka needs a seasoned campaigner in this part of the team in the next game, and it is most likely going to be Niroshan Dickwella, who top scored in the practice game prior to the first ODI. But what's unsure is which of these youngsters will sit out. Going by the numbers, the inclination will be towards dropping Pathum Nissanka to make way for Dickwella. There might also be a likely chance of the gritty all-rounder Chamika Karunaratne getting his debut cap if both these youngsters are to be dropped for the next game. Apart from the changes, Sri Lankan batsmen will have to walk the talk and start playing fearless cricket. Players like Kusal Mendis, Dhananjaya De Silva and Dasun Shanaka will have to take more responsibility. The Mirpur surface doesn't seem to be allowing these batsmen to go all guns blazing in their approach. It is slow and requires the batsman to dig in deep to start scoring on it. So these batsmen will have to take a leaf out of Mushfiqur Rahim's knock on Sunday and start grinding hard for runs. It feels incomplete if one doesn't utter a word about Wanindu Hasaranga when speaking of the Sri Lankan side. But in all reality, there is nothing more that could be asked from this up-and-coming all-rounder. He just has to go about his business in the ways he knows best: attack. The Lankans might also look to promote him up the order depending on the situation of the game. Bangladesh would be pleased to play the same 11 for the game depending on the condition of Mustafizur Rahman's niggle from the last game. If in case Faiz is unable to make it, his like-to-like replacement Shariful Islam will play the next game. The junior batsmen in the team will have to put their hands up and perform if they are to win this game without hiccups. The weather will remain as harsh as it was in the first game, with the mercury touching 35 degrees and the humidity scale at around 62%. However, there is also a bit of rain predicted in the morning and a lot of clouds cover the entire day. Probable 11 for Sri Lanka: Kusal Perera, Danushka Gunathilaka, Niroshan Dickwella, Kusal Mendis, Dhananjaya De Silva, Ashen Bandara, Dasun Shanaka, Wanindu Hasaranga, Isuru Udana, Dushmanta Chamira, Lakshan Sandakhan. Probable 11 for Bangladesh: Tamim Iqbal, Liton Das, Shakib Al Hassan, Mushfiqur Rahim, Mohammad Mithun, Mahmudullah, Afif Hossain, Mehdi Hassan Miraz, Saifuddin, Taskin Ahmed, Shariful Islam. For premium content and exclusive member benefits, subscribe to ThePapare.com today.